Hey, boys and girls. We are back with Here's Hank, Stop That Frog. So, yesterday in chapters 1 and 2, we learned that Principal Love is going away on a conference and needs a frog sitter. So, Miss Flowers said that the class would love to watch his frog Fred and that they would take excellent care. And that they would need somebody to watch the frog at home. And everybody, of course, wanted the job, but Miss Flowers was trying to be fair. And she said that maybe Fred would do the picking. I'm not quite sure about that one, but we'll see. He did kind of shake Principal Love's hand before he left, right? By putting his webbed hand on the glass along with Principal Love. That was a pretty funny moment. So we shall see what happens next. All right, let's go on to chapter 3. Chapter 3. I don't want to brag, but all the kids in our class, I'm sure Fred liked me best. When it was feeding time, 3 kids got to drop a live cricket into his tank. I didn't get a chance to feed him, but when I put my hand into his tank to change his water, he jumped into my palm and sat there for a long time. On Thursday, I put my face next to the glass. He hopped out from underneath the leaves. He jumped onto the glass next to my face and shot his tongue out just like my dog Cheerio does when I come home from school. On Friday, I took over the job of misting his tank with water. When I did it, he hopped off his log and let the drops of water fall down on him like a shower. People don't usually think of frogs as cute, but I'm telling you this, Fred was the cutest. Before lunch on Friday, Miss Flowers told us it was time to pick who would get to take Fred home for the weekend. Katie Sperling raised her hand. I nominate Hank, she said. Everybody can see how much Fred likes him and how well Hank takes care of him. That's because they both have webbed feet, Nick McKelty shouted out, and slimy skin. Okay, that's enough, Nick, Miss Flowers said. Does anyone else have a nomination? Yeah, McKelty called out. I nominate myself. Miss Flowers wrote both our names on the board. Boys, can you tell us what would make Fred's visit to your house special? Miss Flowers asked. Yeah, McKelty said. I'll teach that slimy frog to dance. I'll show him some of my awesome moves. Like tripping over your own big feet? Katie Sperling said. McKelty stuck his tongue out at her. It still had some of his yellow breakfast on it. Hank, Miss Flowers said, your turn. Well, I don't know if I could teach Fred anything, I said, but I sure would try to be his friend. Very good, Miss Flowers said. Now can we take a vote? Ashley asked. Miss Flowers hesitated for a minute, and I noticed she looked a little worried. Before we vote, I want to remind you what a big job it is to take care of another living thing, she said, especially when you are in charge 24 hours a day. I could tell that Miss Flowers was talking directly to me. I'm not always as responsible as I should be. I mean to do the right thing, but sometimes my brain takes a vacation and forgets. Hank, if you win, are you sure you want to take on this responsibility? Miss Flowers asked. Frankie's hand shot up in the air. Ashley and I live in the same apartment building as Hank, he said. We will be right there if he needs any help. Thank you, Frankie, Mrs. Flowers answered. That's being a good friend. So, all in favor of having Hank take Fred home, raise your hand. Everyone went up except one. I think you can guess who didn't vote for me. That's right, Nick McKelty. He only got one vote, and that was his own. Maybe next time he calls me a loser, he'll think about that. When everyone else left for lunch, I stayed with Miss Flowers to go over all the rules for taking Fred home. She called my mom at our deli, the Crunchy Pickle, and got her permission for Fred to spend the weekend with us. My mom even told her that my grandfather, Papa Pete, would come after school and bring one of our delivery carts from the deli so we could roll Fred's tank home. It may smell a little like pickles and pastrami, my mom said. I hope the frog doesn't mind. Oh, he won't, I shouted into the phone. Fred and I like the same things, except crickets. I'm not a fan of crunchy crickets. I could hardly wait for school to end. When the bell rang and all the kids filed out of class, Nick McKelty hung around just long enough to make a final nasty comment. I bet you and the frog get married this weekend, he said. You make a great couple. I tried to come up with a clever answer, but before I could get one out, he was gone. Just like the bully he is, McKelty likes to say something stupid and then slink away. Miss Flowers put together a weekend bag for Fred. She put in his misting bottle, his container of live crickets, and a list of instructions. The first one she wrote in red to make sure I'd remember it. Make sure you always replace the screen cover on top of the tank so that Fred cannot jump out, it said. Hank, do I need to go over these instructions again with you? She asked. No, Miss Flowers, I answered with confidence. I knew all the rules, including how and when to feed Fred. I've memorized them 10 times, I told her. Miss Flowers helped Frankie, Ashley, and me carry Fred and his tank downstairs. Papa Pete was waiting at the front door with a metal push cart from the deli. Wow, my mom wasn't kidding. You could smell the pickles a mile away. Nice to meet you, Fred, Papa Pete said as he carefully placed the tank on the cart. Welcome to Zipser World. We've got a big weekend planned for you. We'll start with a roller coaster ride, then a visit to the circus, and finish up with a trip to the top of the Empire State Building. Really? Ashley said. No, not really, I said with a laugh. Papa Pete is always joking around. How about we start with a nice roll home, Papa Pete said. I'll get you kids an ice cream cone on the way. What flavor do you think Fred wants? A double scoop of cricket, I said, with fly sauce instead of chocolate. We all cracked up as we headed down 78th Street toward home. I felt so happy that I wanted to hop just like Fred. It was going to be a great weekend. Oh boy. All right. Well, we're still thinking about that front cover, right? And we're still thinking about that frog hopping away from Hank. So, the anticipation. We're not sure. We haven't proven our prediction right yet, but we will see. All right, so we have met the same characters again from the previous books, and our Papa Pete has brought his sense of humor back again, and love to hear his things that he says too. And I love how his friends, Ashley and Frankie, also reassured Miss Flowers, that they would be there to help him as always. So, really, really nice group of friends that Hank has. And everybody voted for him to take care of the frog, except for Nick McKelty, but we kind of expected that to happen. But the rest of the class thought he was the best to be the frog sitter. So, really, really good. Hank is a really good friend, it seems to me, and also a very popular kid in the class. All right, so boys and girls, we're going to have to wait until next time to see what happens with Here's Hank and his frog.